Welcome to the ParlAmericas podcast. This episode was recorded on August 22nd, 2025, during the virtual session, Security in the Age of Emerging Technologies, which was the second in a series of events organized by ParlAmericas in the lead-up to the 10th Summit of the Americas. This event brought together parliamentarians, experts, and hemispheric leaders to explore the connections between critical infrastructure, water and energy security, and technological risks. Listen to Mark Lambrides, Director of the Department of Sustainable Development of the Organization of American States, speak about how countries from the Americas and the Caribbean can cooperate with the OAS to build resilience of energy and water critical infrastructure. Lambrides answers to a question posed by the event's moderator, Carolina Delgado Ramirez, member of the Legislative Assembly of Costa Rica and board member of ParlAmericas. Ms. Delgado asked Lambrides about how current water governance and integrated water resources management initiatives are helping to protect critical infrastructure, such as power generation facilities, data centers, and transportation networks against emerging climate and technological threats in the Hemisphere. She also inquired about the role of parliamentarians in the strengthening of these frameworks.
Good morning, and thank you to everyone. As the director of the Department of Sustainable Development at the Organization of American States, this question is really at the core of what we do in my department. And I'll get to your specific question in 1 second, the question as it relates to water governance. But let me first highlight that the Department of Sustainable Development is comprised of programs that include sustainable energy, climate change, natural disaster risk reduction, sustainable ocean, and integrated water resource management. So really at the core of our efforts, the collective efforts across my programs and with my colleagues, we are supporting OAS member states, including parliaments and other governing entities, to ensure sustainability, access to, and the security associated with infrastructure across all of these lines. And we really work at the intersection of both the challenges like climate change and natural disasters and infrastructure like energy and water. And so also to highlight, we can connect these principal themes of energy security, water security, and food security that are really at the center of the upcoming summit. And quite frankly, the theme of citizen security, which in many ways connects all these topics. As we know, when there's insecurity around things like access to water or food or energy, this drives citizen or human insecurity, and the crises such as violence, crime, and migration. So these are all super interconnected themes. I think Professor Sanders herself really highlighted the interconnectedness of these different security challenges and the connection, the link to climatic effects. So let me transition quickly to the specific question as it relates to water. Regards to that question, specifically for the work that we do in my department at the Organization of American States when it comes to water in the Americas, I just want to start by highlighting that the Americas is really a hemisphere privileged in water resources. 60% of South America's water resources, 30% in Central America's, and our work represents 60%. The hemisphere's water represents 60% of the planet's aquatic surface. So despite this wealth of water, fresh water in particular, comes with it really significant, important responsibilities. And I want to talk a little bit about that and how we treat those responsibilities and work together with our member states here at the Organization of American States. Our program around integrated water resource management that we drive here is not just a conceptual or theoretical concept, but we're very practically working to develop and deploy initiatives designed to help our member states as they manage their water resources. This includes lots of types of interventions and support, from the development of appropriate policies and regulations the deployment of early warning systems, establishment and access to data and critical knowledge, all of which really come together to support policymakers to better legislate the management and protection of freshwater resources. And so it's important to note, however, that we don't just stop, our work doesn't stop at the level of supporting development of policies and regulations. It's not just about putting a policy on a shelf and walking away. Rather, we work with all levels of government, from the national level to the municipal level, to ensure that policies are properly interpreted, followed, and then have a beneficial impact on our water systems. So let me share a few concrete examples of how we're protecting critical infrastructure through these programs, both national and regional programs. So in the La Plata River Basin program, we work with Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay in a transboundary approach that directly protects regional entity and hydroelectric infrastructure. This program, financed by the CAF with support from the Global Environment Facility, GEF, and the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB, executed with the support of the regional entity, CIC, allows us to coordinate water management to guarantee security for all 5 of these countries that are bordering this river basin simultaneously. Similarly, with our work in Central America, the Trifinio program that benefits Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, we're implementing 4 strategic components. First, comprehensive diagnosis of water resources. Second, development of governance and investment frameworks. Third, the integrated water resource management program pilot projects and nature-based solutions deployment. And fourth, monitoring systems for decision making. And so these components come together to protect critical infrastructure such as power generation plants, data centers, and transportation networks. And additionally, we've developed a decision-making system that is a technological platform enabling real-time monitoring. And this tool allows decision makers to visualize water risks and protect critical infrastructure before crises occur. We say our approach is based on what we call 3 I's: information through early warning and monitoring systems, institution by strengthening regulatory framework, budgetary allocations of resources for monitoring systems, and third, by promoting transboundary cooperation through ratification of regional agreements. Finally, by exercising oversight and supervision of policy implementation, parliaments can be fundamental partners in ensuring the sustainability of all these efforts.
As part of the second round of questions of the events panel, Ms. Delgado asked Mr. Lambrides to share the strategies of the OAS in fostering regional collaboration to address water-related risks that affect both digital systems and energy infrastructure. Ms. Delgado expressed particular concern about areas where hydrological variability is increasing vulnerabilities and asked how parliamentarians can support and advance such cooperation and their legislative work.
This is a really important question, and it really goes at the heart of the kind of work that we are focused on in this arena. As we've discussed, hydrological variability is indeed creating critical vulnerabilities throughout the region. A climate vulnerability map you can see in many of our publications clearly shows that many countries of Latin America and the Caribbean face high or very high risks due to climate change. And much of this risk is associated with the water sector, and then the water sector as it relates to energy vulnerabilities and to food insecurity and other infrastructure investments. So from our perspective at the OAS, we're fostering regional collaboration through several specific initiatives. As you know, water, natural flow of water doesn't really know boundaries. And so human created boundaries are not relevant when it comes to river systems, aquifers, and other freshwater resources. So almost all of our freshwater systems are multinational, transboundary. And so it does require a collaborative effort, a multinational effort to really properly manage all of these. And so much of our work focuses on multinational transboundary collaboration systems. So first, I'll talk about a program called our Capacity Building Program for Climate Action. With this program, which is jointly developed by IDB, GEF, and others, we built a digital platform that with specialized courses, and it offers a network of experts from multiple countries and a specific focus on the water, energy, and climate nexus. And so parliamentarians can access this platform to strengthen their technical capacities on many of these issues. And later we can talk about how to access that platform. Second, I want to talk about our science and data initiative, including a critical program that is associated with La Plata river basin system that I mentioned earlier. The Plata, again, is Bolivia, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And we've been working with ISAT, which is an initiative offered together with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and NASA, which gives access to satellite data and knowledge management. And we've built an exchange program with the countries in the La Plata program to be able to build capacity and deliver access to that important satellite and data information to ensure early warning systems. And with this information, practitioners on the ground, including those that operate the hydro plants, for example, can work together with parliamentarians to ensure that proper systems are in place to guarantee balanced water levels, proper pollution abatement, water extraction practices that are appropriate in a shared river system together, and then manage collectively and sustainably for the benefit of all countries that border the same river system, and allowing us to anticipate water risks that could affect energy and digital infrastructure. Professor Sanders also made reference to the importance of data and knowledge, and particularly when it comes to emergency and early warning systems. We certainly couldn't agree more. And our sustainable development programs are largely designed to support data and knowledge management across all the sectors. Of course, data alone is only as useful as the information and that it makes its way to the people that need it. And that's where parliamentarians come in with access to good data. They can properly legislate around that. And then that can be shared with executive branch officials who use data to implement these public programs. And I wanted to just real briefly suggest that, in an example in my country, for example, we have really critical emergency data access in the United States. But as we saw in the flooding in Kerrville, when that data is not, the data that we make available doesn't result in the kind of infrastructure systems to protect the people that depend on that river system, we see that these not only can affect critical infrastructure, but they can be life-impacting decisions. I want to move to a third example of some of our work, which is a project like PACA Peru, which, although national, has a regionally replicable methodology. In this project, led by Peru's Ministry of Environment and implemented by the IDB, the OES, and RTI, includes 27 climate risk assessments in priority watersheds and 21 pilot projects that are in water, energy, and transportation sectors. And this methodology and the lessons we're learning from it can be shared with other countries in the region. Our collaboration mechanisms are structured around 4 key pillars: management through institutional coordination, resilience through early warning systems, and access by democratic democratizing technical information and cooperation, establishing data exchange protocols. Collaboration is especially critical in areas where hydrological variability is increasing vulnerabilities, such as in the Caribbean region, where swampland states depend completely on desalination systems in some cases that require energy-intensive processes, or in the Andean regions, where glacial retreat affects both water availability and hydroelectric generation. Just in closing, I want to emphasize the transboundary multinational nature of governance, with rivers that flow through and between more than one country. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's important that there is some level of harmonization of legislation between nations. And if not, one country can really have an undue impact on a shared river system together. So what can parliamentarians do to support and advance this cooperation? First, by approving legal frameworks for transboundary information exchange. Second, by budgeting for joint monitoring systems that enable sharing of early warnings. Third, by promoting ratification of water cooperation agreements that already exist, but in many cases require implementation. And finally, by establishing regional parliamentary commissions at the water energy nexus. The OAS, as the first global organization working on regional water integration, we're ready to support these parliamentary efforts, and our comprehensive approach connects information, institutions, investment required for legislative backing and parliamentary oversight to guarantee sustainable results in the face of increasing climate variability. Thank you very much.